Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I want to take you on a journey not just about finding love, but about discovering the love that begins within yourself. After heartbreak, it's easy to feel lost, unworthy, or like true love is out of reach. But the truth is, your path to real, lasting love starts with healing, self-worth, and courage. It's about learning to see your own value, setting boundaries, and making choices that honor who you are. So let's explore how your breakup isn't an end, but the very beginning of something beautiful and empowering. You know, one of the most painful things in life is going through a breakup, and when you're in it, it doesn't just feel like the end of a relationship. It feels like the end of everything. The future you imagined disappears in an instant. Your plans, your routines, even your identity can feel like it's been shattered. And in those moments, it's so easy to believe that the pain you're feeling is evidence that you lost something essential. That maybe you weren't enough, that maybe you'll never find something like that again. But here's the truth I need you to hear. A breakup is not a rejection of your worth. It's not a confirmation that you're unlovable, and it is definitely not the final chapter. What it actually is, even if it doesn't feel like it right now, is a redirection. It's life stepping in and saying, this isn't your person. There's something more aligned for you out there. You just couldn't see it yet. You see, the pain of a breakup often comes from this illusion that what we had was perfect, or worse, that it was our only shot at happiness. But when we look back with clear eyes, we start to see the cracks, the compromises we made that felt small at first, but started to chip away at who we really are. The moments where we quieted our voice to keep the peace, the things we tolerated because we were afraid to lose love. That version of the relationship, the one we miss, is often more of a fantasy than a reality. The most important shift you can make right now is moving from "why did they leave" to "why was I holding on?" When you start asking that question, you begin reclaiming your power. You stop obsessing over someone else's decision and start reflecting on your own value. That's when healing really begins, not when you stop crying, not when you finally sleep through the night, but when you understand that this ending wasn't meant to break you, it was meant to wake you up. Your heartbreak is not the story. It's the setup, it's the beginning of your return to yourself. The version of you that doesn't accept crumbs, doesn't beg for clarity, and doesn't chase someone who's already shown they're not capable of loving you the way you deserve. This isn't the part where you fall apart. This is the part where you come back stronger, wiser, and more connected to what actually matters. Sometimes the universe removes what you think you want to make space for what you actually need. And even though it hurts, even though it feels unfair, even though it doesn't make sense right now, it's a gift. Not because it feels good, but because it makes way for something that finally will. Your journey to true love doesn't begin when you find someone new. It begins the moment you realize you never needed someone else to complete you. Let me tell you something that might change the way you see love forever. The relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every relationship in your life. You cannot expect someone to love you in a way that you haven't yet decided to love yourself. And I'm not just talking about surface-level self-love, bubble baths and motivational quotes. I'm talking about the kind of self-worth that shows up in your decisions, in what you tolerate, in the way you speak to yourself when no one's watching. That's the real work. Because here's what happens when you don't truly believe in your own worth. you start settling. You make excuses for bad behavior. You cling to people who give you just enough to stay, but never enough to feel truly seen. You chase validation in texts that arrive late, in apologies that come without change, in relationships that exhaust more than they nourish. And why? Because deep down, there's a part of you that doesn't believe you're worthy of more, so you accept less. But the moment you start operating from real self-worth, the game changes completely. You stop waiting for someone to choose you and start choosing yourself. You stop seeking love that fills a gap and start becoming whole on your own. And do you know what happens when you do that? You create standards, and those standards become a filter. Suddenly, the people who used to string you along don't feel attractive anymore. The ones who were inconsistent, who fed off your insecurity, they stop having power over you because now you know who you are. You know what you bring to the table, and look, I get it. It's hard, especially if you've been told by people, by culture, even by your past relationships, that you have to earn love, that you have to bend, perform, shrink yourself just to be enough. But none of that is true. You don't earn love by abandoning yourself. You don't win someone's affection by losing your own identity in the process. The love that lasts, the love that feels safe and strong and deeply fulfilling. It only comes when you're rooted in self-respect, when your boundaries aren't negotiable, when your peace isn't up for grabs, when being alone doesn't scare you because you're no longer looking for someone to rescue you. You're looking for someone to meet you, to stand next to you, not above you or beneath you. And that's why your self-worth isn't just important, it's everything. It's the foundation of love that doesn't fade the moment things get hard. It's what allows you to walk away when you're being undervalued, and to stay only where love feels mutual, consistent, and real. Because when you finally believe you are enough, you stop chasing people and start attracting the kind of love that knows exactly what it has when it finds you. A lot of people think healing is just a matter of time, that if you wait long enough, one day you'll wake up and the pain will be gone. But that's not how it works. Healing doesn't come from waiting, it comes from working. It's not passive. You don't get over someone just because enough days go by. You heal when you choose to face the pain, sit with it, understand it, and learn from it. That's what real progress looks like. It's messy, it's uncomfortable, but it's powerful. You can't outsource this part. No one else can do it for you. Friends can support you, sure. They can listen, they can hold space, but they can't rebuild your confidence. They can't untangle the stories you've started to believe about why the relationship ended or what it says about you. That part is on you, and that's not a burden, it's an opportunity. Because if healing is in your hands, then you're not helpless. You're not a victim of what happened. You're the architect of what happens next. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves after a breakup is, I just need closure. But often, what we call closure is really a desire for them to validate our worth. We want them to say they were wrong, that they miss us, that we meant more than they showed. But the truth is, real closure doesn't come from them. It comes from you. It's what happens when you decide that you don't need someone else's permission to move on. You don't need their apology to forgive. You don't need their presence to feel whole again. And that process starts with action, with doing the things that reconnect you to you. Not the version of you that was defined by a relationship, but the version of you that existed before them and will continue long after them. That means investing in your growth, learning something new, getting your body moving, creating space to reflect, to journal, to ask real questions like, what did I learn about myself? What patterns am I ready to break? What kind of love do I want to create next? It's in these small, consistent actions that you begin to remember your strength. And more importantly, you start to rebuild trust in yourself, because that's really what gets shaken after heartbreak. Not just trust in others, but trust in your own judgment. And healing isn't just about feeling better. It's about becoming wiser. It's about rising from the pain with a deeper understanding of what you deserve and a renewed commitment to never again settling for less. So don't wait for time to fix it. Don't wait for them to come back with answers. Start doing the work. Start showing up for yourself in the way you always hoped someone else would. Because the moment you stop waiting to feel better and start deciding to get better, that's when your healing truly begins. One of the most important lessons in love and in life is that you don't just attract what you want, you attract what you are. And more specifically, you teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. Every time you let something slide that hurts you, every time you stay silent when your boundaries are crossed, every time you accept less than you need and tell yourself it's okay, you're sending a message not just to them, but to you. You're reinforcing a standard, and if that standard is built on self-neglect, then the kind of love you end up accepting won't feel like love at all. It'll feel like emotional survival. So many people are waiting for someone to come along and love them the right way, to finally see their worth, to finally choose them. But let me ask you, have you chosen you yet? Have you decided that your needs matter? That your peace matters? That your voice deserves to be heard? Because if you haven't, then you'll constantly be trying to earn love instead of just receiving it. And love that has to be earned through self-sacrifice isn't love. It's approval, and approval is a poor substitute. When you start showing up for yourself consistently, people notice. When you say no and mean it, when you communicate clearly, when you walk away from things that don't align with your values, you start sending a very different message. This is how I expect to be treated. And that's not arrogance. It's clarity. It's self-respect. And it becomes a mirror for the people around you. Those who aren't ready to meet you at that level, they'll leave. And as painful as that may be, it's also liberating, because now only those who can love you properly will stay. You also begin to notice something else. When you raise your standards, you don't become harder to love. You become impossible to manipulate. You're no longer moved by temporary affection or sweet words without action. You stop chasing chemistry and start looking for character. You're no longer interested in connections that feel intense but unstable. You're holding out for something grounded, respectful, and real. And that shift doesn't just change your love life, it transforms your life as a whole. Now, I'm not saying you have to be perfect. This isn't about becoming some flawless version of yourself before you're allowed to love or be loved. It's about becoming conscious of your patterns, your needs, your value. And once you become conscious of your worth, you become protective of your energy. You stop over-explaining, you stop convincing, you simply live in alignment with the kind of love you know you're worthy of, and let that be the filter. Because the truth is, the way you love yourself is the instruction manual for how others will love you. So write a manual that reflects your deepest worth, and watch who steps up to read it. One of the biggest traps people fall into after a breakup is thinking the solution is to find someone new as quickly as possible. We call it moving on, but really it's often just distraction. We're not actually healing. We're just trying to avoid the discomfort of being alone. The silence, the emptiness, the uncertainty, and I get it, that space after someone leaves can feel unbearable. It's like a void opens up, and we rush to fill it with attention, validation, anything that makes us feel wanted again. But if we're not careful, we end up in another relationship that's not a choice. It's a rescue mission. And no good love story ever begins with you trying to be saved. You don't need a relationship to fix you. You don't need someone to tell you you're enough in order to feel like you are. When you make love your bandage, it never truly heals the wound. It just covers it up, and eventually that wound starts bleeding again, even in the new relationship. The insecurities, the fear of abandonment, the overthinking, it all resurfaces because the real work was never done. The foundation was never rebuilt. That's why the space after a breakup is sacred. It's your time to rebuild, not just your life, but your identity. Who are you when you're not someone's partner? What do you love? What lights you up? What kind of life are you building that someone else can eventually join, not someone to build it for you, but someone to complement it? That's the difference. When you know your worth, love becomes a choice, a shared adventure, not a lifeline. When you start creating a life that fulfills you on its own, you stop looking for someone to complete you and start looking for someone who aligns with what you've already built. And that kind of love is powerful because it's rooted in confidence, not desperation. You're not clinging to them because you're afraid to be alone. You're choosing them from a place of peace. That's where true intimacy lives, in mutual respect, in partnership, in freedom, not in dependency. So if you're in that place right now hurting, wondering if love will ever come again, I want to tell you this: don't rush. Don't panic. Don't fill the space too quickly. Instead, use it. Let it teach you, let it mold you, let it bring you home to yourself. Because when the right person comes along, they're not going to be looking for someone to fix. They'll be looking for someone who's already done the inner work. Someone who knows who they are. Someone who isn't looking to be rescued, but is ready to walk side by side. Because the love that lasts won't be built from a place of need. It'll be built from a place of strength. Here's something I want you to really feel. True love begins with radical honesty. It begins with courage, the courage to be vulnerable, to be seen exactly as you are, flaws and all, without hiding behind masks or pretending to be someone you think someone else wants. Because love that's built on anything less than your real self isn't sustainable, it's fragile, it's exhausting. It leaves you feeling unseen and unheard. So many people shy away from this kind of honesty because they're afraid. Afraid that if they show their true feelings, their doubts, their fears, or what really matters to them, they'll be rejected. But the truth is, the only people worth your love are the ones who want all of you, not just the polished, happy version, but the whole messy, complicated, beautiful human inside. When you're honest about what you want, about what hurt you in the past, and about what you won't tolerate again, you create space for that kind of love to grow. It's not easy. It takes bravery to say, "This is who I am. These are my boundaries. This is what I deserve." But here's the thing: when you step into that truth, you're no longer living in fear. You're no longer trying to manipulate or please or hide to keep someone's affection. You're showing up fully, and in doing so, you invite others to do the same. You raise the bar for the relationships you have, not just romantically, but with everyone in your life. And this honesty doesn't just help you attract the right person, it helps you recognize them when they show up. Because love isn't about perfect harmony or always feeling good. It's about connection that holds space for growth, for disagreement, for real conversations that bring you closer rather than push you apart. It's about two people who can be themselves fully and fearlessly and choose each other every day. The courage to be honest also means facing your own flaws and mistakes. It means taking responsibility for your part without blame or shame. It means forgiving yourself as much as it means forgiving others, because love isn't about perfection, it's about willingness. Willingness to keep learning, to keep showing up, and to keep choosing each other even when it's hard. This is where true love lives, in the everyday choices, in the little acts of courage and vulnerability that build trust and deepen connection. And yes, it requires risk. There's no guarantee it will work out, but the alternative, hiding who you are, settling for less, living in fear, is no way to live. You deserve the kind of love that sees you, values you, and cherishes you for everything you are. So be brave. Be honest, show up as your true self, because that's the moment your journey to true love truly begins.